Hello and welcome to the Student Experience podcast, where we will be chatting to members of the University of Suffolk community, giving them the opportunity to share their experience with us. I'm Sam and I'm a member of the Student Experience and Engagement team, and in today's episode we are joined by Cari Dollery and Megan Fisher from Disability and Mental Health Services. We discussed their roles at the university and the upcoming Mental Health Awareness Week. We also took a trip down memory lane and discussed Megan's time as a student at the University of Suffolk. So, Cari and Megan, thanks for joining us today. Would you like to introduce yourselves and your roles at the university?
Yes, hi, I'm Megan and I'm one of the Disability and Mental Health Advisors here at the university, working in student life in the Disability and Wellbeing team.
I'm Cari, I do the same job, so I'm also a Disability and Mental Health Advisor. I've been kicking around for nearly 9 years now, so supporting lots of students with their mental health, and I love it.
It's good to hear. Could you tell us a little bit about the upcoming Mental Health Awareness Week? What's going to be happening?
Yeah, sure. So Mental Health Awareness Week starts on the 13th of May, runs for the whole week, and the theme this year is movement, so movement for your mental health, which we think is really, really important. There's so many reasons that moving, even a little bit, is good for your mental health, which we can come on to in a bit. But we've got a whole agenda really of activities, movement type activities, not all sports and exercise based, which people can come along to, participate in if they want to. I don't know if you want to explain a bit more.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the theme for this year is really interesting because I think like moving and exercise means something different to everybody, and I think that's really captured in Mental Health Awareness Week, and the activities that we've got planned is there's a whole host of things. Obviously further details will be on all the social media, but it ranges anything, from tips and tricks to actually being really physically quite active, and I think that's what's really key, is it's different to everybody, but some form of movement, whatever that is really important for your mental health.
That's good to know. It's like you said, it means some people might be like, oh my God, I'm expected to do 24-hour aerobics or something like that. But it's really,
you
like
can.
you said, well,
Yeah.
But like you said, it sort of means something different to everybody, like what kind of movement, sort of, we can obviously chat a bit more in depth about some examples of what's happening, which would be really good.
So I guess with Mental Health Awareness Week coming up, obviously it's a really important week to consider your mental health. Why is mental health so important?
Where do I
Yeah.
start? I think for students particularly, you're under an awful lot of pressure. You're potentially living in a new town, meeting new people, also putting yourself under this pressure of studying, and hopefully studying something that's really important to you, which when it's really important to you, it makes it easier, but it sort of adds to the pressure as well, because you really want to do well. And if you've got exams and assessments, constantly feeling assessed, having to do lots and lots of work, which is really positive, but it is stressful, so it's even more important to stay on top of your mental health. And I think anyone who's met me will know I'm always banging on about balance, getting a bit of balance in your life, getting a bit of routine, and I think we can, when we're pressured with deadlines, we can just become a little bit of a hermit and just shut ourselves away, which isn't great for our physical health, because you've got to move your body to stay well, but you've got to move your body to stay mentally well as well, and to manage stress. So that's my number one reason why it's important for your mental health.
Yeah. I think it's a bit of a catch-22 though, also at points, and it can be really difficult to achieve and make time for that, because naturally, if you are someone that experiences mental health difficulties, then actually exercise can be maybe the last thing on your agenda, or something that's the most difficult thing to do. But actually, it is so important to maintain that well-being, and there's so many things you can get out of it, whether that's social, if you're exercising with your friends, or whether you're kind of on your own and that's just that space and that downtime for you. It is really important, but of course, we acknowledge that it can be really difficult to achieve.
Definitely, like you said, it's that kind of motivation, and if your headspace is not quite there, you just think, can I just get off the sofa and do something? Even like you said, it's going for a walk, if it's going like just moving around the house and tidying up, or gardening or something like that.
Have a little dance party around the house.
I love
that's a
that.
good way to
That's
start.
my favourite. That is my favourite.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Myself doing a squat while washing up and stuff like that. I need to move.
Yeah, I mean, I play a lot of sport, but for me, as you said, it's almost as much about the social it is the actual doing the activity. It's, like if you're playing a match, it's as much about after the game you might go to the pub and then just chat about what's happened or what's happening next. And that's something I find that's one of the main reasons why I do sport as much about the social.
Definitely.
For sure, it's a great way to meet people, isn't it?
Yeah,
If you are in a new town, it's such a nice way to go and find like-minded people who've got similar interests to you. Hopefully feel a little bit less isolated and share some experiences.
About pushing yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit. I mean, some of the things I do, I literally a few years ago going, you are absolutely joking if you ask me why I do them. But like you said, a lot of it, like Sam said, it's being a part of a community, it's being sociable, it's having people cheerleading you and saying, you can do this, you can, it kind of forces you to go out and do things as well, and not like just curl up on the sofa under a blanket and, eat and watch rubbish and things. Yeah. It is hard. Obviously, that's self-care too, but
it's all about balance.
Exactly, all about balance. Could you remind us sort of where students can find out about mental health and how they can be supported within the university, so the services you guys provide?
So we're based in the Waterfront building, but we offer remote appointments for students as well, so they can get us by phone or book an appointment on Teams. We have an online self-referral form for mental health, so if you're struggling with your mental health, or if you've got a mental health condition and you're coming to uni and you think you might want to find out what support there is, you can fill out our online self-referral form. You can find it on Brightspace. I'm going to look at Megan for exactly where it is on Brightspace.
Yes, so it's under the Student Hub, and then I believe you click on Student Life. Then there's a page for Disability and Wellbeing, which is the entire Disability and Wellbeing team. And within that section, there's a drop-down box that literally says mental health, and you can find the self-referral form in there. But as I said, in the Disability and Wellbeing section of the Student Hub, there is a whole host of things, and there's some information about our student assistance programme, the in-house counselling service that we've got, and just general sort of disability and wellbeing advice.
Yeah, and our disability and wellbeing advisors are brilliant. So if you don't feel like you've got a mental health condition, you don't perhaps want to see a mental health advisor, but perhaps you're struggling with stress or struggling to sleep or get a routine, generally struggling with wellbeing, go and see one of the wellbeing advisors, because they're amazing as well and they'll help sort you out.
Yeah, absolutely.
What have you got any advice for someone maybe who's concerned about one of their peers that might be struggling with their mental health?
I think my first bit of advice is look after yourself within that as well. So make sure you're okay. Make sure you've got someone to talk to. Ask them how they are. Don't be afraid to ask someone how they're doing and sit down and have that conversation. Sometimes simply having a listening ear, knowing that somebody cares, is the biggest step for someone who might be struggling with their mental health. My advice would be you can't tell them to go and get help. You can't make them do anything, but what you can do is you can give them their options, and you can say, right, did you know this is available, this is available. Let that person choose for themselves what they want, whether it's going to see their doctor, coming to see us, having a chat with the students' union advisors, having a chat down at Student Life, whatever it might be. Give them their options and let that person kind of take control.
Yeah, that's really good advice.
Of their support.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, communication is absolutely key. And I remember watching a Roman Kemp documentary, actually, and he made a really good point of asking someone twice. So, are you okay? And then usually get that, yeah, I'm fine, everything's well. But are you okay? And asking that second time can also open up a channel of communication, which I think is so important. But I think, as just echoing what Cari said, it is also really important to acknowledge that it can be really difficult to hold those conversations and being the receiving end of those, and that can come with a lot of pressure. So I do agree that, making sure that you're okay and that you've got that open communication channel with somebody else or with that person as well is as equally important. And it's not always about having a solution either. It's not always about, okay, go here, this is what you can do. Sometimes just being a listening ear, it can be all that someone needs.
Kind of that natural thing that human beings want to solve a problem, but like you said, you have to almost guard your own mental health, but also let that person know. If you're just sitting there spouting lots of do this kind of at them, that's like, you're not listening to what I'm saying. I'm in that place where I can't physically, I don't know what else to do. So but if you're, like you said, sort of asking that question a second time and then kind of saying to them, did you know this is available? You know, I'm here if you want me to go with you. Or even, you know, I think we've done mental health training in the past where it's been like even having someone sitting next to you when you are on the phone to the doctor getting some support, you know, just having that extra body there helps sometimes, doesn't it?
Definitely, a bit moral support, having a human there. And I think we need that emotional connection with people, as all humans need it. And if we can train ourselves to block off that need to fix problems, I have that problem as well. I need to fix stuff, and I have to be very conscious. Hang on, I can't fix someone else's problem. Actually, I can give them some information. I can't, and I can listen. But having an empathetic conversation is about really feeling where that person's at, and you have to listen to be able to feel what's going on for that person. So almost like making yourself be quiet, thinking, is the other person speaking more than I am? If they are, that's good. You can really listen to understand rather than listen to fix, I guess. And that's therapeutic in itself for that person.
And that, you know, you can always ask that person as well, you know, what is it that you need from me at the moment? Do you just want to talk about it? Do you just want to have a bit of a rant about it? You know, do you want me to try find some suggestions? Do you want me to, you know, explore options with you? And just asking that person, you know, are you okay? What do you need from me? And hopefully likewise they'll do the same for you as well, and you can really build that supportive network, which is so important.
That's great. You know, so the first step is somebody reaching out and saying, no, actually, no, I'm not okay. And that's huge in itself, isn't it? But yeah, I like you said about the Roman Kemp thing as well, because I think it is becoming more, it's out there in the media more about mental health, that it's okay to talk about things, it's okay, you know, to sort of say, look, actually, no, I'm not okay, and this is, you know, and it is becoming more, it's more out there, which is great. It's not so hidden, and it's still a stigma in some ways, but it's becoming less so. Those walls are being pushed down a bit, really, aren't they?
We all have mental health. We all, like the same way we all have physical health, and it is a wide spectrum, anywhere from, you know, I've just not been sleeping very well, I just feel a bit low, a bit anxious, all the way to potentially, you know, having a diagnosed mental health condition. We all are on that scale somewhere, and it's important to just recognise that and look after it, I think.
Definitely.
I mean, I remember talking to you before, I think it might have been on the podcast we did, that about mental health is always often considered as a negative thing, but it's actually, it's a big spectrum, like you're saying, from your mental health is good to...
Yeah, definitely. Mental health could be it's positive once we get to grips with talking about mental health and not being frightened of mental health, because in the media in the past it's been portrayed as mental health being an illness, being an unwell thing. It's not. It's the same as our physical health. We can have great physical health, we can have rubbish physical health. Same with our mental health. And it's just something to look after, something to be mindful of, for sure.
So we've sort of spoke about students knowing where to come and the kind of mental health services you guys can help provide. So for any staff listening, you also run the mental health training course. So could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yep, so we deliver mental health first aid 2-day course. So it trains you up really to be a mental health first aider or an MHF aider. It's run by myself and Mariana. And we love delivering it. We deliver it twice a year. So staff, if you want to get on it, we'll be doing it again in November. Yay. Keep an eye on the CPD Hub.
I can do it.
I've got you on my list.
Thank you.
Because I know you want to do it.
Tried.
Yeah. So we'll be doing it again in November. As soon as we've got the dates firmed up, we'll be advertising it on the CPD Hub. So yes, staff, please come along if you want to become an MHF aider. We would love to have you there.
Sign up soon, because the last one booked up
It books up
didn't it?
really quickly. We do have we have a short waiting list in case people drop out at the end, so let us know if it's booked up and you want to get on it. We'll get you on the waiting list.
That's great. I've done it in the past and it was fantastic, so I'm really looking forward to doing it again and refreshing.
I hope you feel the same.
No, I know I will. So yeah, but I feel personally it's an incredibly important thing to go, because like you said, it gives us the tools to kind of know if somebody does want signposting, where to go and what to do, and just kind of, it makes you sort of reflect yourself really on your own mental health and what you do to kind of help it or to hinder it in some ways, you know. So yeah, it's really great.
We've got to look after ourselves first before we can really look after other people.
Yeah. So one thing we like to do on the podcast is find out a bit more about the staff members that we have here. So Cari is a friend of the podcast. We spoke to you on your podcast about your role and why you enjoyed it, why you...
Does that mean I get out of it this time?
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
All eyes on me. Yeah.
So Megan, what first attracted you to the role you're in now?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really, really interesting question. So my clinical background, I'm a qualified and registered psychological wellbeing practitioner.
Oh, wow.
Longest title in the world. But all that basically means is that I'm trained to assess and treat people with common mental health problems. And I really enjoyed my time at the NHS. And then I wasn't particularly looking for a role elsewhere, but then I saw a role at the University of Suffolk was advertised, which was this role. And it was really interesting because I'm actually an undergraduate student from here myself as well. And I was like, wow, like, this is amazing. Let's read more about this. And went for the interview, met some people from the team, and I just thought, wow, this is amazing. This is really, really amazing. And working with the student population really interested me.
Yeah.
I definitely sort of dabbled a bit with that in the NHS, but obviously it was a much more broad spectrum. So I really liked the idea of specialising with a particular population. And so I made the transition in September 2022, and I've been here since as a disability and mental health advisor. And yeah, I can, hand on my heart, sort of say that I genuinely do love this job. I love the team, and I really, really love working with the students. It is amazing.
Yeah.
Great.
Oh, that's great. That's really nice to hear such a positive, sort of experience that you're having. That's really good. What does a typical day look like for yourself at the uni? Does it change or?
Yes, very much so. Very, very much so. It's a whole range of things. Obviously, myself and Cari, we do sort of, initial appointments with people just to kind of gauge what support they may need, whether that be externally to the university, whether that be internally. Both myself and Cari obviously run sort of different training groups or workshops for staff and students. Sometimes we come and record a podcast. It is a really whole different, there is no typical day, I think, unless, do you have anything else?
No, there's not a typical
No.
day. It's quite a broad role, which is partly what makes it interesting and why I've stuck around for so long, because every day is interesting. We get to meet new people, new students every day for different things, different reasons. Keeps us on our toes, but we love it.
It's really nice working in sort of an educational setting, actually, because you do really go with the flow of the academic year. We have our busy times, sort of September
We're
to
realising
December.
that as well.
We have our graduation ceremonies. We've got the new year, sort of new blocks, and then we've got exam season, and now we're in that sort of everyone's sort of end of year dissertations, and it really is different. Every day is different. Every week is different. It's amazing.
This is my favourite time of year because you get to celebrate with students. Like, there are a few that I've been working with a long time, and we're really celebrating now. They've done their dissertation, they've got their dissertation in, or then they're coming towards the end, and it's just such an exciting time thinking, well, what's next for you after uni? I love this time of year.
I'm starting to feel the buzz. You can kind of feel the buzz on campus. You see everyone, obviously our office is above the library, so everyone's heads are really down, and you're literally cheering them from the sidelines, going, come on, you're so close now, keep going. And graduation, I'm very excited to see it from a staff perspective. So I'm quite a graduate from here as well, so it'd be great to see, like, we go and get to go with a staff member and see it. Oh, fantastic.
So, it sounds like you really enjoy your role. Is there a particular favourite part of your job that you have?
Oh, Cari's pointing at herself.
Is it
Yes. I honestly, I think, as cliche as it sounds, genuinely, sort of the team, that the staff are absolutely amazing. The community we have at University of Suffolk is absolutely incredible.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
And also, the students, I really enjoy talking to people, hence the career I have taken. And I seem to be okay at it. But no, absolutely, just sort of meeting everybody. Every person is different. Everyone brings something different to the table. Such a supportive environment. I genuinely do really, really love sort of working in this team with some amazing colleagues, and then seeing some amazing students as well. I really, really wholeheartedly do love it.
Oh, if you're selling it to me, I'll say it today. Like, that sounds amazing. But that's great. That's really lovely to hear. You really obviously take pride in what you do as well, and that obviously transfers onto the students. If you're really engaged, then they'll be engaged as well, rather than not just sitting there ticking boxes. Essentially, you're working really closely with them, and you're a big part of their experience and their journey as well, what you guys do. So
I think me and Cari definitely are really passionate about what we do, and I think
it's
that
coming
definitely
across,
helps.
definitely.
Definitely. But I think for both me and Cari, I mean, we have conversations all the time, actually. You know, we are, I guess, an important part of their journey, but students also work so hard and they are so resilient all the time. And me and Cari are absolutely amazed every day at the absolute strength some of our students have, and I think it's worth recognising that as well, that yes, okay, we're here to sort of help you along and support you as and when, but they are so amazing.
They're doing the hard work.
They're doing
really.
the hard work.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, definitely.
We just ask the right questions sometimes.
Yeah, we do the hard work.
Awesome. What are you most proud of from your time? Both of you, this is open to since you've been at the university.
I mean, for me, it is a bit of a full circle moment. Like, as I said, I was an undergraduate student here. I've sort of since gone away and got a couple more certificates under my belt, but it's actually really nice to come back here and put something back into a university that I got so much out of. And I do genuinely feel really, really proud. I think the mental health self-referral process that we've got up and running, that was quite new for when I started. Me and Cari have really sort of made sure that students are able to access us in a bit of an easier way, and I'm really proud of that and the system that we've got going. Lots of things, really.
Yeah, so many things. I think for me, some of the workshops that we've developed. Last time I came on, I was talking about the DBT,
How does that
the
go?
skills workshops. Brilliant. Yeah, we've run a few of those now, and I hope they're helpful for people. I think they're helpful for people. We're still piloting it, so still sort of adapting every time, but I think it's going well. And some of those skills that we get to share with the wider group of students, rather than just necessarily just the ones that come and see us, sharing it more broadly. So I'm really proud of that, and I think that's something we need to keep on doing.
Should be, yeah. It'd be great to hear like how, you know, like more you do it, the more how successful it is and how many students you kind of get to engage with it. I think it's a really unique thing for the university to have those workshops in place. Because obviously all mental health programs look different in different educational settings, don't they? But it sounds like you guys have got some great things already in place.
Yeah,
and I suppose you can, according to like, you know, your feedback and things, you can kind of, right, what can we do next kind of thing. So there's always room to move it forward.
Keeping making it better, developing it. And for me, when you're in the group and you see something click for somebody, you get that aha moment. I think, right, we're doing something.
You're doing the right thing.
Yeah. I think that's our favourite thing, is when someone feeds back and goes, oh, I haven't thought of something about that way, or I never thought of it that way. And it's, you know, that's such a really nice feeling, I think, that we get out of it. Yeah,
that's great.
So, I mean, sort of on the flip side, have there been any challenges you've had in your role so far that you've overcome?
Yeah, I think particularly for me, obviously I'd only come from like clinical settings previously in the NHS, and making that transition to educational settings was a challenge, because we do things very, very different here. And obviously what is key, you know, we're not a replacement for NHS services, of course, you know, we work in collaboration with and hand in hand with. But I think for me particularly, that was a challenge, but a really great one. I really, really do love working in the educational sector. And it comes with its own challenges in itself. You know, students that are here, they're not just like a patient you would see in the NHS. You know, these are people that have moved away from home, isolation, change. They're a student, they may also be employed as well, and I think that comes with a whole host of sort of challenges, and just learning how to be sort of compassionate and support and find strategies to manage that can be challenging, but also equally rewarding.
That's a really great way of looking at it. Like you said, you're kind of open to the challenges and know that they're going to come, and what can you do to kind of help, really. But is there any challenges you feel that you're faced?
It took me a while to get to grips with the academic year, and there's a lot of change, and that's a good thing. So as an institution, we do change things up a lot. So that's one of my bigger challenges, is keeping up to date with all of the changes, the assessment regulations and everything that's going on every year. And I do think it's good to keep reviewing and looking at ourselves and changing. But yeah, it can be hard.
Just telling yourself change is okay.
Change is fine. Change is good. And change is good. I love change. I'm one of those people that gets bored quite easily. So I do love change, but the rate, it can be quite quick here.
Yes.
So it's really just being mindful of the fact that I do need to keep checking in with any updates that are going on. That when I came back from maternity leave, was it last year? Whenever I came back from maternity leave, it was like a new job because things had changed so much in just that year that I'd been off. Yeah. That was quite a challenge for me.
Yeah.
Coming back and readjusting.
But I also think that's so great as an institution that we are sort of continuously sort of changing and updating things. And even as small as our team, you know, if something's not quite working, we do have that flexibility where we can go, okay, great, well, let's listen to the students. What do they need? What do they want? And try figuring out a way how to best support them. And I think that's really, really great that we do have that attitude across the board.
Definitely, yeah. I think our teams is slightly similar in that way, that if we can see something's not working entirely, like if we're doing things like drop-ins and stuff, and it's not, you know, it's not working for the time scale, or the students are not really, that's not what they're there for at that particular space that we've gone in. You're like, right, we need to change that up. So that is the beauty of, like you said, you can be quite flexible, and because there's always changes, it means that, you know, the university is constantly striving for something better and changing and making sure the students are getting a positive experience. So on that note, we recently had the open event on Saturday, which was very exciting. There's lots and lots of prospective students. What advice would you give to new students, or students even considering joining the University of Suffolk?
I mean, I think students who may already have a diagnosis or may have experienced difficulties in the past, I think where possible, where they feel able to, definitely disclose it to us, because there's a whole range. Like I said, support earlier, externally and internally. And actually, I think it would be really great to have those conversations with new students before they come, before they arrive, to make sure all their support is set up whilst they're here.
Absolutely. And if you are coming from another county, and if you already have mental health support at home, start that conversation early with your mental health team that you've currently got, because in our experience, the transition between counties for mental health support, it can be a bit bumpy. Right. It's not always smooth, and it can take quite a lot of time. So if you start that conversation now, as soon as possible, that you're going to be going to uni, you're going to need to transition to a new mental health team, that will hopefully ease and smooth your transition. Just, you know, bearing in mind, once you're here in Ipswich, you won't necessarily have your family around you, people to push and knock on doors and take you to appointments. So if you then struggle with your mental health, it's so important just to get that set up early and come and see us early so we can hound for you.
Yes,
we support you to get that.
That's really good.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, getting that ball rolling early, really, as it were. Like you said, it can be quite intimidating, I suppose. Like you said, you'll come into a new place. Like I said, some people might not be near home anymore and have their usual kind of support group, a network that they normally have behind them. But that's a really good point.
Like, it can be simple things like when you're at home, if you run out of medication, maybe one of your parents will go get your medication for you, or someone or you know the pharmacy, you know your GP surgery. Whereas if you're in Ipswich on your own and you're not feeling well, who's going to go and get that medication for you? Who's going to solve those problems? So thinking ahead and planning ahead for that, as well as planning ahead for like you're not just here to study, you're here to do other things. So are you going to join some sports groups? Are you going to go down to the allotment? What are you going to do around uni to get yourself a bit of balance, keep yourself as well as possible? Think about that nice and early.
And I definitely think, just remaining sort of compassionate to yourself as well, regardless if you haven't even experienced mental health difficulties before, just being that, level of self-aware that, okay, this is a big transition, this is a big change, and there are going to be periods of stress that I just maybe need to anticipate, and just being really self-aware and making sure you've got that support network. And also, if you do feel a bit anxious during those times, that's also okay, as we would expect. Just reach out if you need anything, and we'll be more than happy to support you the other end.
They say it's natural to feel that anxiety, isn't it? Because it's a completely new thing, and it's just like you said, how you manage it and how you reach out and say, look, I need some support with this. I'm feeling more anxious than anything, and it's impacting my time and things. So yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So Megan, you mentioned that you're a graduate of the uni. Do you want to tell us a bit about your time at the uni, what course you studied, and your journey as a student?
Yeah, so I was here from 2017 and I graduated in 2020. So my undergraduate was psychology and early childhood studies. My first and second year, really, really amazing, really, really great. I loved it. Third year, first semester was great, but come sort of January, February, obviously we had COVID. Yes. So
I feel you on that one.
That was
Same.
really challenging for me because
Yeah.
that was my final year. I had a dissertation, and all of our learning got moved online. We'd never had an online lecture before. That was, that was unheard of. That was the first time I ever heard of Microsoft Teams. I didn't know what that was. And then now I use it all the time. So that was a challenge. It was really, really challenging. And I remember that being very isolating because obviously in that first lockdown, really, really were locked down. So I'd lost my sort of cohort support network, our study sessions we'd have in the library. That was really, really challenging. And then trying to do this big piece of work in your final year, that was a lot. That really, really was a lot. But luckily, my dissertation supervisor, my course team were as supportive as we possibly could be. And I think that was really key, was that, we were all experiencing something for the first time. And I graduated and it was great. And it was all fine and lovely. But yeah, it was a challenge. But honestly, I really did enjoy my time here. And I do actually really like that we are a smaller, I guess, university, because you really do get that sense of community. I still feel that now, even as a staff member, and I think that was what really drew me into coming back here, is actually, I had a really great time, had a really great experience, let's put something back into it.
It literally sounds exactly like my experience. It's really weird. I'm like, who are you, the same person? But same with mine. Literally my last year was online, hated it. My cohort were like my sense of belonging was really strong with them, and they were like really supportive. And everybody here adapted so beautifully. Like the lecturers were incredible because they were. I said everyone was in the same boat, weren't they? But I did the same thing, and I kind of kept thinking, I kind of want to go back to uni, and I kept thinking, maybe how would it be in a staff capacity? And now exactly the same. Love it.
I think that's a bit of a theme across the board. There's actually quite a few staff members here that were also undergraduate students. I think that just speaks volumes about the university in itself, to be honest.
Definitely does. Oh, that's great. That's really nice to hear. It's funny because I support the psychology students now as well. I just think it's interesting. It's so interesting. I love to sit in on a lecture and see what they actually do.
I've done a few sessions for example, like the psychology or the early childhood studies teams, just a general sort of wellbeing session to the students, and actually some of those lecturers taught me.
Oh, that's amazing.
And they're still here, and that's really, really amazing, and it's a really full circle moment actually, so I was actually in the chair watching the lecture, and now I'm actually at the front.
Gosh, that's amazing.
So it's a really amazing feeling.
It's odd though, isn't it? I remember doing my introductions the first week I was here, and I had to go in like my old lecture, and he's going, "You're back, I knew it was you." My name on the things, like, I'm here again.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a very surreal. He was like introducing me to the students, going, "Laura was where you are literally like a year ago." And I was like, "You can do this. If I can do it, you can do it." So, but that must be really proud for you to kind of, like you said, give something back and be in that position. So,
I do love it.
That's really good. So we'll come to a final question now, which Cari will know from her podcast. It's our answer one, ask one question. So you'll answer a question from previous guest, which is Hayden, who's from Careers, and then you're going to ask one for the next guest.
Cool. Yeah.
So
make it a hard one.
So the question Hayden has, which is sort of themed on his role, is if you had some career advice you'd give to yourself just after you graduated, what would you give?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
It's a good question.
I think career advice, I think definitely, if you can, is try dip your toe in lots of different things, because I think for me that's what really helped me figure out what elements I do like, what I don't like. I think in my final year of university, I think I had 4 different roles as well outside.
Wow.
It sounds a lot, but it fitted around my hours quite well, and actually from that all my experience helped me dig out, okay, I really like this about this role, but this is what I don't like. This is what I'm really good at, and that I'm really terrible at. So for example, my Excel, I am not an Excel. Never will be.
But
what I am good is speaking to people and communicating.
Same.
I think for me, if you can get as much experience as you possibly can, rather than getting comfortable maybe too soon, especially when you leave university, I think that's really, really important.
My advice is a variation on that theme, definitely. It would be, don't do what's expected, do what you love, number one.
Yeah.
Because I think with particularly with like the professional registration degrees, you can sort of be forced into a certain hole or pocket. And you might hate that, and just because you have that professional registration doesn't mean you have to do that thing. There'll be lots of other options out there for you. So do what you love. It's more important than trying to fit into any particular hole. But also just remembering you're more than your career. You're so much more than your career. It shouldn't be your whole identity.
No, definitely agree.
So like what you were saying, Megan, have other things.
Yeah.
Have other projects, other things going on that you love.
Yeah.
And hopefully that will keep you well, keep you happy, help you manage your stress. If we're in a career that we feel like we should do, and then it becomes a whole identity, you're going to be stressed. Just going to be stressed and miserable. So you can avoid that by
definitely agree with that. Oh, it's been great. Thanks, guys. I've really, really enjoyed this. I feel like I'm learning even more. It's like, wow, you guys do some amazing things. You really do. But you're clearly both really proud of what you do as well, and that comes across. And like I said, that really helps to engage the students as well. So it's great.
That's brilliant. So until next time, bye from Laura.
Goodbye.
It's goodbye from me. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Student Experience podcast. If you would like to be a future guest, email studentexperiencesteam@uos.ac.uk or follow the links to our podcast application form through our Brightspace page. You can also reach out to us through our Instagram page, UOS_student experience.